Good evening, good night, and welcome to Mindful Life 391. I am your host, Nathan Springer. Thank you for joining me. It is presently the 9th of May, well along inside of this month. May is the exam month, the beginning of the exam season. So I hope those of you who are doing exams right now, you're tuned in, you're locked in, you're ready, set, and just going with the exam, as the preparations, I hope, would have been made already. If you're looking to make the preparations right now, I'm not saying it's too late. It's not too late. There are still things you can, prepare and perfect, but it's a bit late. So once you're on the inside, make sure you hit that like button. If you're looking at this live on TikTok, double tap the screen. That's how you hit the like button over there. If you're looking at this on YouTube, find the like button, that nice thumbs up button, and you click that. You hit that button and drop a comment if you have something to say. If you're looking at this on repeat, you can see this live right now on TikTok or live on your YouTube. But if you miss any of the lives, feel free to jump back in on YouTube and catch it in delay. Wendy says, what is really going on with all these penalties imposed for tint glass scratches, etc.? It seems very harsh. I know I saw our opposition leader was saying that she intends to decrease a lot of those fines, and we'll see how that goes. It's Sheldon says, what's your take on the tabanka between the Auditor General and the Finance Minister and AG? We spoke about that at length for some time, but my take on it is, I don't know about tabanka, but as far as I could tell from the outset, I don't understand why it had to reach where it reached. If what the Finance Minister is saying is accurate, and what the Attorney General is saying is accurate, it seems like all of this could have been avoided by them just making some different steps. If what they are saying is not accurate, then I don't know what else to say on that. How do we counter that statement? I'm not 100% certain what else you do if they're lying to us in a case like that. I was looking at the gun-free zone business. As many of us know, the government has put forward their proposal and creating some gun laws, helping Trinidad along to get sensible gun laws in our gun control laws in our law books. That was their intention, apparently. And it seems like one of the major points that they were putting forward with this gun crime bill is for safe zones. They want areas where there will be no guns, gun-free zones for it to be safe. We spoke about that also at length, where I just don't understand the sense in something like a gun-free zone, because laws are for law-abiding citizens. So what a gun-free zone means is guns won't be there for the law-abiding citizens, but the criminals will still have access to them, and that seems mighty foolish to me. But I was reminded of a story that points that out quite literally. Ronnie's World says gun control in a place where guns are illegal. Exactly. That's why I said that a lot of our PNM elites are basically people who look at too much Democrat-styled politics over in the United States, because they are writing policies for Democrats in the US. It's really not for us locally. It doesn't make sense locally for us. But yes, I don't know how many of us would remember this story. One of the proposed gun-free zones are schools. They don't want anyone with legal firearms to carry them in a school. And I was reminded of this story straight out of a school. Thursday isn't really about stories. Thursday isn't really about stories, but I thought this one was just so potent, we had to look back at this. Parent shoots student. Parent shoots a suspect. My bad, not student. Shoots a suspect during attempted school robbery. Central Division Police are investigating a report of a robbery in which a parent shot an alleged would-be bandit. Officials were told the incident took place around 9 p.m. Tuesday at the Syrian Memorial Vedic School, Old Southern Main Road, Chaguanas. The victim, who is a parent and a member of the PTA, was said to be assisting with the installation of air conditioning at a classroom when the group observed a masked man entering the class. The suspect was armed with a firearm. Police said while the suspect was taking the group's cash and valuables, he was confronted by one of the parents who was the holder of a licensed firearm. The parent pulled out his firearm and discharged several rounds in the direction of the suspect, hitting him. So, just so we all know, something like this is what they don't want to happen. What they want to happen is that the parent is not supposed to be armed in a situation like that. And they're supposed to hopefully hope the police is there to protect them. It's Sheldon says, talking about penalties, why police officers don't give a chance to the poor taxi drivers, etc. Now, between the police and the taxi drivers, I think that's something that needs to be handled like a local government kind of style something, because it's a service and I think they need to work together better. Actually, Rawson Warren says, in my humble opinion, that sound like garbage. I guess the police would not be alone guns there either. Pertaining to the sticker things on cars. Oh, well, I don't like the sticker things on cars either. I think the whole idea of this inspection sticker is a money-making means for the government. What do you mean? What's the purpose for that? You're out there, we're trying to make sure that people's cars are up to what standard in a country where the roads are at what level. Like, I think certain laws that work for first world nations or for cities in first world nations, for example, if you're talking about Amsterdam or something, I could understand that you have an inspection business and wanting vehicles inside of the main city, controlling certain things like that. But if by certain metrics we are considered a third world nation, to impose upon the nation certain forced standards just doesn't seem right. Good night, good night. Abu Friday says firearms on a school compound is a tricky issue. Can go wrong really as well. Yeah, it can go wrong, but what's the evidence we have of this? And Abu Friday, this is exactly how they get all of the parents, especially the mothers, to sign on to gun-free zones, and actually it does not help. So, okay, it's a tricky issue because who knows, a parent might be ignorant, arrogant, and come in the school with their gun and cause harm. When has that happened before? And if someone is so unthinking that they are willing to come on the school with a legal firearm, they would have done it with an illegal firearm anyway. Because to brandish the weapon on the school to threaten somebody is already illegal. Like we're trying to make things double illegal. For me, it's like, in some cases, like even the insurance, the business of insurance, where insurance becomes a legal requirement. But either way, if you hit somebody with your car, you are legally required to pay them if you are wrong. So why am I legally required to drive with insurance when I'm already legally required to pay them, whether it be by insurance or not? Well, Rawson Warren asks, do you think a country should remain a third world nation for 60 years? I guess it's according to our definition of third world nation. It's Sheldon says, did you see the incident at the mall with the children? What's your take, if any? If it's the incident with the young man from the mall, and he seems of East Indian heritage, and he was filmed being quite gangsterish in the mall, and I think there was another video of him in school and stuff like that. I think it's you know, teenage life, a common thing actually. There have always been those people, and you know, the people that think that bad behavior is race specific in Trinidad and Tobago. That's not true. There are bad behaviors of all sorts in this country.
I don't know what incident you're talking about. What incident is that?
A young seemingly East Indian lad was seen slapping another lad inside of the mall. And I think there was another video where he was slapping another lad inside of a school washroom, it seemed like. So yeah, the comments were quite something. You know, I hope that as Trinidad moves along and we progress, that we could keep our open, frank, even insults between the races. I think some of that is needed to, you know, keep the country relaxed instead of too uptight and wound tight. Like somebody, one of the top comments was like, they put in badness in the roti now, and I was like, should I be laughing at these comments? Should I be laughing at these comments? Like,
to be fair, if you're in a predominantly East Indian school, that's where your police more than likely, even though you know us black people like to shine. But more than likely you're supposed to
hey,
hire.
I wonder if I could pull up that Instagram page and go through some of these comments. Right, you know, I wanted to at one point in time, you know, when I had a bit more free time, I was thinking I wanted to do some more videos. One of them just going through comments on some of these pages. Because to me, a lot of the best content is in the comment section. If you don't read comments, you are missing out significant portions of the entertainment value. All right. Let me see. I'll pull up this video. Which one has the original one? If you're over on my YouTube, let's switch over there and watch that. It has some violence, but you know, mild violence, nothing significant. It's the comments.
Trigger warning.
Listen, I can't even read some of these comments. These Trinidadians, I can't see things, you know. I'm telling you, if I was around Sunil, Prakash, Ramesh, Adish, Akash, everybody was getting flow. And you know what was sending me with some of these comments? You might think, if you're not a Trini and you don't understand how Trinis work, you might think that, you know, it's only a race thing, where it's only going to be people of Afro descent making these comments. But actually, no. There are many Indian people making some of the most ridiculous comments on this too. Somebody says, oh gosh, act all your race now. Listen, that one, like, but it's telling though, eh? It's telling. Oh, when you say act your race, are you saying that Afro Trinidadians are the only bullies out there? That such should not be expected of Indo-Trinidadians. It's only the black people doing all of the bullying out there.
Well, statistically.
Listen, Ronnie. It Shellen says, I don't know if you talked about it previously, but the whole children hospital fiasco. I would like for someone to go. I don't know if one of the journalists did it, and reconfront the Minister of Health and speak to him about the fact that the opposition highlighted that there in fact were NICUs inside of the Children's Hospital, because somebody lied there, and I think that's something you could actually get to the bottom of. Who lied? You said there were no NICUs in the Children's Hospital, and the opposition leader said there were. Now, here's the thing. There could have been NICUs, and you all still chose not to operationalize the hospital for good reason. And you could have said that. But if you said there were no NICUs, and then proceeded to say people are trying to politicize the situation, but the no NICUs thing is a lie, then you are the one that would actually be playing politics with it. So, I saw though that the Regional Health Authority said that they are willing to settle with the parents. Prejudice about what? I saw the Regional Health Authority said they are willing to settle with the parents. That's interesting, because to me the question then would be which parents, because the number of parents keeps rising, it seems, and I don't think that they would settle with any parent who lost a baby, because all baby deaths aren't necessarily due to fault of the health authorities.
Nathan, they even because I don't read the whole story. I was too depressed to read. But they autopsy all the babies, and what was the cause of death for each? Is it that all of them shared the same cause of death, or some died because they really weren't developed enough? Some died from a bacteria, or whatever they say that may have caused it. Like it must have. If all of them died from the same thing, then clearly all of them, the parents had a gap. But if it is the child really actually wasn't developed, parents can't get nothing for that.
Well, you see, it's a difficult thing, because the lack of development could make certain things that may have been run of the mill otherwise a death sentence, as it were, for a baby like that. Why? Who's so prejudiced? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm prejudiced in what context? But yeah, so even getting an accurate pin on after the autopsy, okay, if the baby died due to massive organ failure, was it that the organs weren't developed enough, or was it that something the healthcare professionals did cause that failure? And where exactly do you draw that line? Because living is difficult when your body isn't properly developed. So it's easier for you to die, and it's the whole problem of the entire situation, drawing that line very pinpoint. Where is legal, where is bad decisions made by the healthcare professionals that they should be responsible for, and where it's just the misfortune of life. Do you think history, Spanish, and IT be mandated to be taught to secondary students? No. I'm kind of against even mandating some of the schooling in general, the way we do schooling. History, Spanish, and IT. No. I don't think so. I don't think that's necessary. And go ahead, Ronnie. Go ahead.
What's coming off topic? So finish if you explain on your topic.
Because I don't think, to continue on what it's Sheldon asked there, I think the assumption that education is the solution to all problems is an incorrect assumption, a modern assumption, but an incorrect one. That, when you hear about the assaulters and abusers, you hear, well, you need to educate them. Like if rapists don't know that what they're doing is a crime. It's not education, and teaching people about their history so that they won't be doomed to repeat it is not exactly the way. There are historians who have done evil things before in the past, so I don't think that's the way it's done. Go ahead, Ronnie. What were you going to say?
I was going to talk about the thing that I sent to the group. Yeah. Thing in the group last night. Because I saw it before. It came out since like probably around carnival time. And I see it again. So I say, no, I'll bring it back up. Because it had any comments again where you must resign. It had a lot of people saying, you know, like, oh, well, the employer, well, you should be glad because you don't want to work for an employer that will do something like that, blah, 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 blah. But for me, I see it like this. I listen to real smutty music. Like, swear, I just be in work and it's sexy red, Sukiana, everybody. You understand? But the kind of audacity you have to have, for people not in the Discord, the topic was a person was denied, what was it that means? I don't remember.
A person was denied employment for posting lewd song lyrics, a song with lewd lyrics. Violent lyrics.
Because you were saying, I just listen to smut, but I think it does take a different level of audacity to post a video with the smut that you listen to. You know,
Chris Scott, it's on my TikTok profile. Ryan.
It's not just that you posting a video with the song in the back, you're literally posting a video with you singing the song too, which means like you really enjoy this type of thing and you feel brave enough to want to align yourself with it. I don't feel brave enough to align myself with Suki and them. I just listen to them, but I don't align myself with them because I don't want people to view me as that. So I feel like younger people, they have to understand. When I was in school, and I leave school really years now, they told us, but you post on the internet, you don't leave here, and your employers, they're looking on your page, and and well, I believe them. I don't know if everybody did, but what this person really saying in this comment, boy? So it is true, your employers have all right to want to look at your social media. They want to see what you just post, where you just be looking at, where you just be sharing. Because it is important. That will tell what kind of person you are, what kind of employee you will be, the kind of energy you're bringing into the workplace and all of that. Anyway, and I'm a correct profile to meet that person.
But yeah, I'll have to make this one an admin. I think an employer is right to do that. They're within their prerogative. They're within their prerogative to say, listen, I don't like what your image is and I don't want it. Just as you said, what you listen to in your private time, that's a different thing. And you might get me to more complain with you alongside you if it's something like the employer went digging up through your playlist and found a song that you listen to on your own, and nah. I don't think that's within an employer's prerogative. They can't go and take your private business and then use that. That's a different thing. But if you're talking about things that you put out there in public, it's like you tattooed that on your face. We're talking, Smithy, about someone who was denied employment based on posting violent lyrics. An employer denied them employment and then advertised it. You asked about the Auditor General report. We spoke about that at length. As it stands right now, as I said before, if what the Attorney General and the Minister of Finance said is true, then this whole thing could have been avoided. It's really and truly a mix-up of who to speak to at the right time, it seems like, and it's all an innocent thing. But if they are not telling the truth, then I don't know where we stand, because I don't know what the whole issue would be. They attempted to get the public servant to do what they wanted. The public servant said, I cannot get this done like this, and she felt like they were attempting to pressure her unduly. They felt like it was just a common, easy thing to do. That seems like it's harmless, but using that using that description. RL says, to be honest, a private company can always choose whoever they want to hire regardless. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, especially when it comes to your public image, what you put out there. Because if I hire you and you have an image, then it's nearly like I am endorsing. I'm reading exactly what you're saying, by the way, Ronnie, just so you know. It pops up, so as you say, I read exactly. But yeah, it's within their prerogative, and their image, your public image, is what they hire you on. Now, as I said in the Discord, I said this: I don't think that the person whose resume was thrown out for the lyrics they posted, I don't think that was the best resume in the pile. Here's what I mean. Recently, we saw the Digicel CEO. The new Digicel CEO, he is the new regional CEO or something like that, and he has a whole tattoo sleeve, and there was an article about that, and he likes tattoos and all of that, and he's on the diversity, equity, and inclusion train anyway, so that's out there. But nonetheless, he is a CEO. His track record of performance allows him to take certain liberties. So if you're out here posting Cayman uncensored on a daily, you better be sure that I don't know that a wide leather. I don't know that. He's just a promoter of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Just make sure that your ability is as such that people are willing to look past that image. Abu Friday says, I learned long time to not make any links between me and my social media, different emails. Well, I am my social media. It's just that I do not go being crazy out there on social media, and I'm willing to stand by the things I say on social media, so I'm cool with that. Yeah, people. What we thinking about? What we talking about? Oh jeez, I wanted to talk to you all about that. What going on in Bago, girl? How they killing women so?
Well, they're killing everybody.
What going on? Well, what trouble is this?
The shoot up this place in what's it, Speyside or Charlotte or something too?
Speyside, I think it was.
And then after that, they had a next shooting, but nobody wasn't shot that. It was like the day after. Nobody wasn't shot on that one. They should be behind a man. Must be missing.
Is like all of those are connected. All of those over the last week or so are connected. It's like it's like a war going on between two rival groups in Tobago or something like that. I just don't understand, because I don't know, but the murder of two women just doesn't seem to point directly at a gangland killing. Like if I were to guess about how gang warfare goes, two women being at the forefront of the murders just doesn't seem like the real idea of gangland killing. And I read in one of the articles the woman who was murdered today, I believe. Now, first up, Guardian CNC, that's some nasty work to look at the relative rolling on the ground in anguish, take the video and post it. Like, leave that for the weirdos online and those weird pages who only seek likes. You're supposed to be a news production company of some standing. But in one of the articles I saw like the family saying that, you know, they have to get vengeance for this, and if they feel they alone have guns or something like that. And on the tone of that, it doesn't even sound very gangster-ish. It nearly sounds like a family feud. What is this going on? What is this? And you know, those things don't end. Like, to me, if I wanted to predict a way to fuel murders by reprisal really sharply, is murder mothers. Murdering mothers is one of those things I feel you're least likely to be forgiven for. Like, the other side to come and shake their hand and say, all right, well, we squash this. I just feel like that's not the way you get that done. You know, you look at war and 50,000 men dead and nobody bats an eye, but you know, you kill one woman and all of a sudden that's a whole different number they start to count there, especially if it's a mother. That's weird. It's very weird. That's off. What's going on in Bago?
I don't know. I hear them talking, but you know, I don't really. But my son, I don't really follow the scenes. But I heard them speak.
You don't really follow the scenes, or you're frightened to follow the scenes?
I just follow the scenes secretly. I just have my headphones in, but listen. We are not in cool, but I just hear. So the talk I talk there sounds very interesting. I'm surprised they didn't blame in Chinese. Well, they can't really blame Chinese because apparently the person is known. And it's a people person.
Well, I find it seems like when you hear the outcry and the reaction, it seems like whoever is in the know will know exactly why it happened, who did it, and all of that. Because the talk afterwards wasn't, oh my God, how could this happen? It's nearly vengeful, as if it's known why and how.
Like I tell my friend.
You know who I blame a lot of it on? The police. In the capacity of corruption. And I remember I have been speaking about this for over a year now, for as long as the life has been out, the 2 years or so, that it's going to get worse. When you look at countries like Haiti, the way Haiti got to where it is because of police corruption, to a large part, the corruption of law enforcement. So, okay, yeah, the corruption starts off with the law enforcement taking a little bribe here, a little bribe there, a little bribe there. But the criminals are going to accelerate their activity. They are doing a business. Businesses don't stay the same size. They are going to attempt to grow their business. And as criminals grow their business, they bounce into each other and there's friction. And that friction is going to bubble over. And if we have a corrupt police force that has their hands inside of the cookie jar so that they can't stop the criminal elements in the first place, it's obviously going to just accelerate.
Big up them. But again, you know something, you know what is really make me laugh? Apparently, allegedly, you know what I saw I can only talk that way. You have blocks that is protected, or it could seem like you have blocks protected by the police, right? And it is getting to the point where, you know how it happened recently, the gang that was saying, you know, well, this gang have police protection and that gang have police protection. It's seeming like that is becoming the thing in Tobago now. The police have the people, have the blocks and stuff like that. And the only time these blocks are not clear, they just have to send police up from Trinidad. They send up task force. The last time when they had to clear up that block,
Scarborough.
It's task force that they send, and they don't like it because as far as they just say, oh, Trinidad have enough crime, I don't want to fight crime in Trinidad. It confused them, they're confused. As That's good.
And that is exactly the issue. And I could imagine that, like, if I put myself in a young hothead position and I'm trying to make my way in the criminal underworld, because a lot of these people have plausible justification, you know. Not all of the young hotheads are total idiots. I mean, they make idiot decisions, but that doesn't mean that their intelligence is gone. A lot of them, you attempt to reason with them and you might not be able to reason them out of the decisions that they made. Because if I look around as a young hothead and I see and I know certain things from behind the scene, because where I born, where I grew up, the people I rubbed shoulders with, I knew that this man worked security for this political leader. I knew that he was a close friend of this one. So I figured that the whole idea of morality is a game that they're playing with us anyway, and you have to make it any way you know how. So that's my motive. Make it any way you know how, because that's what all of them doing anyway. So I'm attempting to do that, and then as I'm doing that, I noticed that the authorities seem to be protecting those criminals, while every time I try to start a little block, they're trying to run me down. Look, they kill this one, they kill that one, they park gun on this one. Yeah, that one used to sell drugs, but when they catch him, he never had no drugs, you know. They put on him. But yeah, I know he is sell, but they didn't have when he... And those things do happen. And what is going to be my outlook on society if that's what I see looking out there? The bigger criminals have police protection, and the police seem to be just squeezing on me for the minor crimes, as I see it, that I do. Wouldn't I generally become much more vigorous in how I go about my work? And isn't that kind of what we're seeing in Trinidad and Tobago? We're seeing lots of young upstart gangs with all kind of new names that are insanely violent and are willing to take great risks. These guys, I don't doubt that these guys have the videos, because there's a culture behind it. If you look at the American trap and rap and I forgot the name of that exact type of rap scene, and you see a lot of them that go around killing each other, and then afterwards they talk about smoking their ups and say this weed name after so and so, and the smoking so and so here. I have no doubt that they're doing that locally here, because those guys seem to be on killing drill, the drill scene. Those guys seem to be on that killing steroids. And I think the corrupt system that they're surrounded in helps with that. You know how much more motivated. And you have to understand young men. To understand young men. Put yourself in the position of young men. How young men think about these things. You know how much more motivated I am if I feel it's me and my team against the world. That's motivation, you know. Me and my team against the world. Them old heads have the police on them side and so on. So me and my team again. Of course they're bitter. Of course they're bitter. Demon time, King David says. Yep, exactly that.
Time is not fair.
There are various meanings, Ronnie. But that's the thing, and that's what you're going to be facing. And the more you allow it to happen, the worse it's going to get. You look at some of those videos, and you know there are lots of people very annoyed by the amount of pale skins inside the ghettos in Trinidad recently making YouTube videos. Now, you could be annoyed, but it is what it is. Reality is what it is. It's entertaining, so people are going to go seeking the entertainment. It's intriguing, so people are going to go seeking the intrigue. And if you look at some of that content, you're already seeing that some of those places are societies governed internally, as it were. They don't see themselves as being part of the Trinidad society. So how are you going to stop it? It's like a war. It's literally like a war for some of them. The way it's going to stop is with them dead. Is any politicians actually have their head to ground to know what's going on? Chris Scott asks. I have no doubt many of them know. I have no doubt. For example, Fitzgerald Hines is the Minister of National Security. He's the MP for Laventille. Which one of the Laventilles? One of them. And he has been so for a long time. He is a lawyer, a former police officer. So he would have contacts in those areas. He is involved in the PNM. The PNM is the party in control of local and national, as in the municipalities and the local government level, and the member of parliament on the constituency level. The PNM is in charge of all of those regions. The PNM is in charge of giving contracts, garbage pickup, CPEP, URP, security, building the community center, cutting the grass. Do you think somebody like Mr. Hines doesn't know in great detail the entire goings on of East Port of Spain?
Of course, I missed it.
Like, think about it reasonably, and ask yourself if you really think that a man like that doesn't know. I believe he knows better than all of us. He knows names. He knows the history. He knows the startup. He knows who belonged in which gang and when which gang leader died, who take over, who was reputed to kill him, who was the shooter, who did the shooting, why he did the shooting, why he gave his loyalty to this one, and what this one do for him, and this one build a house for him after he killed so and so, and that is the killer who killed so and he was in so and them split to make so and he ruling so since so and this territory belonged to so and this part was so and the contract. You think he doesn't know that?
Well, you should probably say allegedly, or probably like more than likely. It's speaking very definitively.
No. I'm saying if you think he doesn't know that. I'm asking what you think. Nobody could sue you for what you think. I think looking at the facts as it stands, it seems obvious that someone like that would know great detail about what is going on in a community there. Because I am not a politician, I am not law enforcement, I am not in the legal fraternity. He is all three. I am neither of those. And I know some of the details of things that go on in my community. You see a news story about a crime in my community, the story covers this much, and I know a great detail more by just being around the community. We know how those things go. You think he would not know? Really? I do think that they know. I think they know very well. And I think the fact that they know is why they don't do something more in some cases. Bear in mind, an alleged community leader and his partner in community leadership were the guests of honor in the signing in of a PNM minister.
Use our come back with your profile, please.
Like, that's not something small. That's something significant. That tells us something. What you conclude from that, you should conclude from that. But I would say, I don't think ignorance is a plausible excuse looking at the facts as they outlay themselves. What going on, Trini Hotep?
What going on outside right now? Outside. I need a lot of road. What going on?
I cool.
I take in the conversation.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah, I am quite sure. I'm quite sure that those in those positions of power, they are cognizant of what goes on and who does what. Now, I understand and I believe that there would be an area of difficulty in terms of what you could prove. That's like the problem. We were talking about that last night when it came to Bukele in El Salvador, where technically speaking, a lot of what Bukele did and is doing to clean up El Salvador would be frowned at by the liberal worldview. It would be frowned at. It seems like, you take away rights from people that you don't have just cause for certain things and all of that. And there is some of that issue where knowing isn't all. You could know and that's not necessarily enough. And that's part of the problem with politics, the nature of politics and the bureaucracy that politics is. Or Trini Flicks, the nature of what the bureaucracy that politics is, it makes it difficult for one person to take blame for it. So, okay, I might be the member of parliament for the area, I know certain things, but the minister of local government is supplying contracts to these men. So it's not just me, it's the Minister of Local Government too. And the Ministry of Works supplies contracts to some of these men. And then some of the state-run agencies have these men as directors in certain areas. So, okay, I came into governance and I know this, but I come and I see that obviously other people know it too. So what am I going to do about the knowledge? Triniflix says, and that's not the first instance of a community leader being invited to a government event. Of course it's not. Like, if you know a community leader, it might be harder to get those answers from the government officials. You might get the answers from the community leaders. If you know a community leader, you could go speak to them, and I assure you, the stories that they can tell you would shock you. They tell you who they drank punching with. And you're like, for real? They tell you who they sat as a security in the motorcade, in the security detail with. And you're like, really?
Watch now. I was in a car at time, and a man say he like Anel real. Oh my gosh. I can't say what I want to say. Anyway, the person say Anel real. And then the person finished by saying, it was told to me, I didn't say this, it was just information given to me that I am repeating by somebody else. It's not my words. The person was like, I really like this minister. I was like, well, another minister, not that one. This is a different tax. And I was like, yeah man, that really, you know, I take cocaine with this person. And I was like, huh? You know, I'm like, all it does really do these things? All it does really tell people these things? I mean, like, people really doing these things.
Yes.
White powder, very, very common nowadays. Before weed was, and this is the problem, I think, where we might say, oh, decriminalizing weed is not a big deal. But I think it always has something harder to come. So it's like, yeah, but we get weed out the door. But now I feel it for cocaine, like, because weed too soft. Oh gosh, this light still out. That's crazy. So, well, I mean, that's what Canada did. Now you could walk around Canada with everything. Canada is a very highly liberal country, so you know that we leave Canada out of that now. It doesn't stop. It always starts somewhere. Still, no. Canada just does whatever it does. Canada will literally take away everybody. I mean, Canada and Justin Trudeau try Putin
he tried to pull out Putin by freezing people bank accounts for COVID
Yep.
who wasn't following policy, and it didn't work because obviously he's not Putin. He doesn't live in a autocratic country like that. He tried it. It didn't work.
Smithy asks,
I will try anything.
how was it so easy for the Prime Minister of the UK to resign? Because the UK is the UK. UK runs very differently to Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of their prime ministers are coalition prime ministers where they need support from a wider range of parties to stay in power. And when they see that that support is waning, they resign. So it's a much more common thing in the United Kingdom. It's like... It's like if the People's Partnership actually functioned like a partnership, and when the NJAC leader said he I don't know if you all recall these things, the NJAC leader during the partnership after the first year said he has never seen corruption like that in his life, and then they full his mouth and sent him in another country and he never spoke again. So those... Well, it wasn't only Boris resigned, Liz Truss resigned also. It's a common thing for British prime ministers to resign. It's not a strange thing. It's the coalition. But if our coalitions functioned like that, where coalitions were willing to leave and join again and separate, and you would have had a lot more of that holding accountability. But we don't have... We don't have coalitions like that. We have large, safe voting blocks. That's why we end up with the same problem like the United States, where because we have large, safe voting blocks, you could put a frog in a P&M jersey and he'll win. Same thing for UNC.
And the thing is that we thought if we adopted a Westminster system, it would move like that, but we don't have the historical basis of our political system in order to actually function it like that. Like the whole Westminster system under how the British does it is that prime ministers and MPs at the House need support, and even though they get support, then they don't get the power. So the thing that would transmute in the same way to a former colony, it doesn't work like that. No, we would wish it would work like that. It just doesn't. Because the inception of Trinidad and Tobago politics was literally that of a transfer of power into a sort of pseudo dictatorship, right? We had a man running the country on a pools for as long as he was in power. Right, the man literally died, kind of in power. So
and when to me, some of the benefits you get from that Westminster system, you need to have the creation of it like they had the creation of it. Smithy asks what you think about the course the government taking now towards constitution reform. I don't think it will go anywhere really and truly. But so if it was that the area of Couva North was an area that developed over centuries, with the residents of Couva North being more loyal to this location because their family and their family property has been here for generations. So when they make a decision with the consideration of centuries of history based on my location. That's in the United Kingdom. But in Trinidad and Tobago, people who move to Couva North have no real loyalty for Couva North. That's not what it's based on. We were placed here, and our loyalties, because of the colonial system as we inherited it, is based more along our ethnicity. So regardless of where you place people, a lot of people vote based on that ethnicity or on class groups, because that's much closer to the loyalty. And hoping that you get the results that the British get from a whole different history and development is, I think, a vain hope. Because we just don't have that same history and development. In the Westminster system, the Prime Minister has all the power. Well, the Prime Minister coordinates the power. So the idea in the Westminster system is the Prime Minister, you're one capable of giving the Prime Minister all of that power, because he is by no means a dictator, and it's nearly impossible for him to be a dictator, especially if you look at it in the British context. But if you look at it in the Trini context, it's not exactly so.
So, sorry, I wasn't here to follow him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going to ask, no, I'm not very big on the geography, so I don't know, like, I hadn't helped out with that. Did all, and what's anything in history as a matter of fact, did all the Caribbean islands and all the former colonies take Westminster thingy?
I believe so. I am not aware of any who didn't. I'm not aware of any who didn't. Like Hong Kong is now back to China, and they were a former colony, I believe. So, do we have any say in any laws being passed? Technically, yes. Literally, no. Technically, yes, in that we're supposed to vote for the members of parliament, and our members of parliament are the ones who are supposed to have a say in what laws are passed. They are supposed to vote for and against laws, but that's not exactly how that works. Jack Warner won Shogunus East easily as an ILP. I would say Jack Warner won Shogunus East easily, not as an ILP, which would signal that an independent party could win. No, he won easily because they thought they were voting in a primary election, basically. I think what went on in Shogunus, and that was Shogunus West, what went on in Shogunus West was that the voters there thought that this was just a little friction in the UNC party. And voting for Jack Warner is basically a signal to UNC that we want Jack Warner to represent us as a UNC. But the next election that came by, when they recognized Jack Warner was not re-entering UNC, he was remaining as an independent party, and his attempt was to actually get the UNC out of power. Jack Warner smelled the rat, and he didn't even go up for election in Shogunus West again. And ILP lost by far in Shogunus West for that next election. Because you're not going to beat the UNC there. Now, the people may say that they want somebody to go up in the UNC. And, you know, that's to show you how far we are from an actual democratic process. If it was at least that, okay, we're locked in with UNC and PNM, but within the UNC, you could vote for the candidate you want. You know, it's easier for primary elections happening in the UNC. Anyone could go up, and we choose who we want to go up, and we vote for them. It's not even like that. The nature of how a lot of these parties work is because of them writing their own constitutions. They could basically set the thing up to be in a way that they determine who goes up where. So you have nearly no say in anything. So, yes, King David, technically and legally, we're supposed to have a say, but in the actual effect of it on the ground, no. What about Arima Central Local? 3 terms with Lisa Julian, then suddenly they voted for Fish. Explain. I don't know.
You know what's funny? Is how Trinidadian citizens not making a fuss about that though. Like, it's most normal, we accept it. Like, we don't have a say in who really goes up for a certain position as a MP, as a councillor. Like, it's funny how the party puts up somebody and then you vote for the person. That's the point that Trinidadians is missing, right? Every time they tell me about vote and the ancestors fight for the right to vote, I'm like, okay, could you go up in, I don't know where the UNC office is located, and say, okay, well, we have a say in these elections, and let's pick who we want on the man who living right down the road there. You know, because he been here now. Can't do that. Yeah, that's how I'm saying, because now they go tell you about the party that run this particular way and the bylaws or whatever. And that is not how the UK does operate. The UK does operate that the man down the road, he get the position because he been there. And anytime they have a problem, they protest in front of the house. Like, people don't understand, the UK don't protest a lot, but where you see them protesting is in front of people's house. Yeah, that's how I'm saying, and it makes sense. Because that's how it's supposed to operate. It's supposed to work like that. But you can't find a role on any given day.
What about Arima Central local 3 teams? And I don't know Arima Central. Now, sometimes those things have changing of the boundaries that cause some of it. Sometimes in local government election, it has personalities, and some personalities are stronger than some. I'm not saying that those changes can't happen. You see, now I voted against party already. Good for you. Smithy says right now if Fali win the 2 seats in Tobago, PNM in hot waters. Correct, but I kind of don't forecast them winning it. But Fali is already in some trouble. He wanted to make a reordering of the THA. And I remember I read that headline and then the story disappeared. It seems like he made that statement and then he couldn't back up that statement, because here's a problem that he is facing right now. There isn't much structure yet to the TPP. The TPP doesn't have a long-lasting institutional, a long-lasting institutional power that stands outside of the THA. They don't really have that. So all of your power is based on all of the members currently in the THA. And if you are but just one leader in the THA, and all of us kind of see ourselves as having a lot closer to the equal power. If I see you setting up for a restructuring and you're looking to move me out of a position of power, I am going to look to sabotage you. And can our fledgling party survive internal squabbles and power struggles? I'm not sure they can. So, I don't know how they are even going to face that elections coming up. Boss Dana says THA more powerful than MPs. I guess that's according to what you mean when you see power. An MP in the ruling government is way more powerful. Way more powerful.
But in turn, that TPP is not even a party. They registered a party and they wouldn't. They're not even. Whoosh. Sinus. I clean and all that. They're not going to be facing no general elections. They're not going to have to be polls for THA because the mandate wasn't given to TPP. The mandate was given to PDP. However, because of them decided to go their own ways and not have laws or whatever, for independence, they could remain independent, cannot form a party. If they form that party, Mr. Watson, who is the leader of the PDP, which is the party that was elected to rule, can call for an election in the THA. So they are not going to register that party. They are not going to face general election 2025. They are going to keep themselves quiet until, when is the big election? 2026? Yeah, no, 2026?
I don't know. Boss Donna says nothing Tobago THA houses, feeds, employs 90% of an island with less people than Shogunas. Yeah, but that doesn't make them very powerful. That doesn't make them super powerful, really and truly. That's not a lot of power to be the chief employer of Tobagonians. I don't think that makes you super powerful. They don't even. What's that?
It weakens. I think it weakens.
Yeah, it does.
Independent power to develop your country. Why you think Tobago can't make any kind of developmental program? Every development program they have is something funded by central government. Every single one. Show me a project that THA is funded developmental wise.
All of your money is locked into salaries, and you are basically unable to fire any of those people, because that's how you keep in power. So it's not actually like you have the power to move them around. You have to keep all of them employed, and they're keeping all of your money from being able to use it elsewhere. So I don't see that as being very powerful. They aren't very powerful, in my opinion. I'm not saying that there isn't power there. There is a fair amount of power, and internally within the Tobago social group, the Tobago crowd, you are very powerful. You are a high official inside of Tobago, but not like if you're looking at global levels of powerful positions. The CEO of Massey might be more powerful than the chief secretary in the THA. And I think that might be a lot of the reason why you regularly hear people in the position of chief secretary, etc., and Tobagonians asking for more power for those positions, asking for self-determination and self-governance, etc., because they find and they figure accurately to some extent that the position doesn't have a whole heaping degree of power. You're nearly a gear. You're nearly like a spoke in the wheel. Okay, you're holding quite a bit of weight, but your options are very limited. You can hold weight and you could go wrong the wheel. You cannot decide to make a change really and truly. You could keep the status quo going. Smithy says Farley done signal he going in the general election. He tell Rowley to call it he man. Well, you could say what you want, eh? Talk is cheap as they say. Smithy said, Chris Scott says, Smithy, but that's not a guarantee that he'll win elections. I don't see them winning. Bear in mind, Farley, as the leader of a party, hasn't won any election. The party that won the Tobago elections was PDP, led by one Watson Duke. And personally, I'm not sure. Maybe Farley would have won even if Watson Duke wasn't on his team. But he certainly wouldn't have won by the same amount. I think a lot of the winning that the PDP did in Tobago had to do with the style, charisma, popularity, populism of Watson Duke. Not that much Farley. I think Farley was the figurehead in terms of if you were worried about Watson Duke and his record in honesty and being a good person, well, he got a nice, good teacher, a good church-going teacher, and that's the one who's actually going to lead. And that was Farley's position. Not as the politician, mover, and shaker that pulled the whole campaign together. It would be entertaining and interesting to see the TPP on a national election stage. So who, if they don't want the PNM? Who what? King David says, so if they get self-governance, should Trinidad still fund them? We've spoken about that so often. And I don't even fully understand, and I know people have explained to me numerous times, but when they say self-governance, there's a whole wide range of meanings there. So I guess it's according to what you mean by self-governance. Where's Watson Duke? Is he still giving up bread in Port of Spain? No, Watson Duke is talking about Tobago. He is saying that he regretted not going up for chief secretary. Watson is in Tobago talking.
I don't think he lied, because people might know what to do, but I think one of the biggest kind of regrets, because would he have actually make a good chief secretary? Would have been the question.
That's not very big, but
because you tell it. You remember first time I had on the pod, I think that St. Luke is the populist, and that he man's right coming from the PSA. So would he be a good chief secretary? You understand what I'm saying?
It would have been more interesting, I could tell you that. It would have been a whole lot more interesting. And to give Duke some credit, he tries. He makes attempts. So I think he would have attempted to do a lot of things differently. How successful it would have all been would have been a whole other question. But he would have attempted some different things, I believe. I don't know how good of a chief secretary he would have been. But, I mean, if you're comparing it to Fali, would he have been better is another question. I might say maybe yes, maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. I believe he would have made a big impact, Watson Duke, knowing his posture. Big impact, yes, but big impact could be a bad thing too, eh? Big impact isn't only a positive. It could be a negative big impact too. So he could have spent out and impoverished Tobago. Now, there's a side too where, because of the limited power of the THA, maybe you could allow somebody with far out ideas to get into the THA, because there's only so much that they could do in the first place. He had ideas of bringing an aeronautic facility, I think, down to somewhere in Tobago there, and nothing might be wrong with the idea, and I don't think the THA has the ability to sponsor and fund such a thing in the first place, so it would have just been but an idea.
Talking about the same Watson that tell Fali to Western Union how much money to the people in New York. We're talking about the same Watson Duke that was on TV and radio saying to ministers, when he talk, the youths and them, they have nothing. If you do the money,
thief something and get himself.
Yeah? That's the same Watson Duke we're talking about.
Of course.
We say that man would do a better job. I mean, I'm not saying he wouldn't do a better job, but I don't think that's the man I would have wanted in power, because if you're saying all of these things and you're so brazen, and considering the accounts of the divisions in Tobago and how it is run, that man would have gone, even if he was paying Robin Hood somewhat, and thieving from himself to give to, thieving from the people to give to the people. Understand? It wouldn't have been a good thing, because either one, he would have done it, and it would have wrecked the whole of everything, or he wouldn't have done it, but because he is so bold about it, his people would probably have just rise up and mash up the whole of it, because he given them fire to go. I don't have a problem with Watson Duke. I think the Watson Duke party was a good partnership, and I think that is what made them win. People knew Watson Duke, but they trusted Fali, and that was the balance that they wanted. So both of them separate wasn't going with nothing. They needed each other. As far as I could tell, based on conversations I would have had with people.
I said that back then too. I don't think that Watson Duke could have won by himself, because I don't think he would have been trusted enough. I don't think Fali would have won by himself, because I don't think he would have been known enough. Now that Fali is more known, I don't think that his choir boy persona and image would be a winning formula anymore. The image that he won based on in the THA election, I don't think him being a known entity now, it would be the same image that he could go to. And I don't know what his new image is going to be. What is going to be his new selling point? I am not sure, because the only thing I could kind of garner from him is he seems to be of that South African flavor of leftist. And I don't know if Trinidad has a great appetite for that. That militant revolutionary kind of style of talk. The reason I think Watson you could get away with more of it is because he is that kind of a talker, a groundsman, you know, that is how he talks. But I don't think Fally would get away with it because he's supposed to be more of an intellectual, so people are supposed to take you more seriously. And that revolutionary talk, and for example, simply as it was his more firm stance with Gaza, and I know some people would think that's a positive thing, but I don't know if he is as researched on the topic to call one thing genocide and apartheid and hold on to that view. But I think that's a statement based on his ideological prescriptions, and such a view I don't think is going to make him successful in Tobago. I don't think that's how you win in Tobago. I don't think he has that man of the people feel enough for Tobagonians. I just don't think so. From hearing you all opinion and views, are we in a sad state now or are we on the right trajectory? I think sad state, but to be fair, I think humanity has always been in a sad state. And our options have always been trying to make best of the sad state of affairs. And the idea that we were at some point in time in a perfect state, or there's some perfect state that we could magically get to, that's one of the best selling points of liar politicians. If you understand that it's sad state and trying to go from sad to a little less sad, you are able to balance your expectations and pick out the liars more easily. I agree, King David, but politics is politics, and politics makes people do strange things.
Wait. The man think we're supposed to be neutral. Only Switzerland is the most neutral country in the world. You have to pick a side. No, it's just the facts. We are not in a position to be neutral. We have to pick a side. Whoever we're doing trade with.
And he was referring to the Israel-Gaza issue. And on that issue, because of the nature of it, you could be neutral. In our case, from Independence Street up to now.
But obviously, well, it's interesting that Trinidad took the stance of wanting the state of Palestine to get an actual country, knowing that Trinidad and America have trade agreements which would not rub America the right way. So I don't know what Trinidad think they're doing.
But because I think Trinidad did that because we have the understanding that it's not a given conclusion in the United States. There are many people in the United States that are of varying views on such a thing. And ostensibly, like if you ask US spokespeople about their stated view, I think they would be more in preference of a two-state solution, which is a proposal that Palestine be a nation state also. So I wouldn't be, I'm not surprised by that position that Trinidad took, and taking the position more in line with the progressive view in the United States is a safer route to take. The progressive view is the popular culture view. Taking something in line with a conservative or right-wing view is a more dangerous line to take as a country. Trinidad felt pressured because the other islands did so first, I believe, maybe. Because I know we are all still a young nation, but with trillions we already spent. Yeah, so I all of that was stemming from Mr. Fally, and I don't know how many of you saw his statements from Eid al-Fitr, and things like that. I don't think success is in his future in Trinidad and Tobago politics. That's just my opinion and my belief. He may shock us all. He may shock us all. Yeah, I would like to see how he corrals even the TPP into being followers of him, because as it stands right now, he's a leader of convenience. He was selected as Watson Duke, selected by Watson Duke to be the chief secretary. They won, and he's the chief secretary now. So he's the obvious leader by means of just the position that they found themselves in. But if he is no longer in the position of chief secretary, are we sure that the grouping of people inside of the TPP are willing to leave him as the leader? Remember, the TPP as it stands is already an amalgam of a graveyard of Tobago parties. And if there were people already vying for power with other Tobago parties, they would have already shown that they have interest in getting into positions of influence and power. Would they be okay with leaving Mr. Farley in that position? Remember, the last time they did it, the leader was Watson Duke. Watson Duke is a much more visibly powerful leader than Farley seems. Would Farley be able to command the following of all of these people? What can he promise them? What is his access to resources? Because I don't know all where he gets it, but it seems obvious that Mr. Watson Duke has access to resources. Does Mr. Farley have likewise? Because politics is an expensive game to play in. There are many questions that remain unanswered as to how the TPP would fare in a general election. So I don't take it for granted that the 2 Tobago seats are an easy win for the TPP. I just don't buy that.
But it's on. I was having the same conversation with Positive some time ago, and he was talking about all the way to set up somebody, blah, 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 which I don't believe, but you know, that's what they say, they're setting up somebody. And he was saying, basically, they're going to strong arm, that's not his example, strong arm UNC because they're not going to fear them with the seats. Fear them don't want the seats. If they win the seats, they will strong arm in UNC into being the ruler of this coalition. And I was like, that doesn't work. Because I don't think there's anybody old enough to approach the UNC and say, you need our seat and we want to rule, so you could let us rule, we'll give you our seats. There's literally nobody that could make that kind of request. And if they are ones that making that kind of request, they are going to become just like TOP when they carry their seats to
UNC, People's Partnership.
And they just sat there doing absolutely nothing. You understand?
Yep. And here's the issue. Telling Tobagonians that you are going to sell your seats to the UNC is a losing strategy. It has been the PNM's winning strategy in Tobago for quite some time now. So, from the moment you make it, you remember since the THA elections, that was the PNM's go-to statement, that this group of people is secretly UNC, because the UNC does not have support in Tobago. The UNC does not have wide support in Tobago. So saying that you're going to carry Tobago over to the UNC, I don't think is a winning move in and of itself. Now, I could get why you might think it's a pragmatic move. It's a move where you might get some power, but I don't think you are right. I think if you sell your seats to the UNC and give the UNC a victory, you no longer have the power to tell them what to do. You have now put yourself in a weak position. And this, I think, comes from the idea that, we are going to be the linchpin seats, the 2 seats that make the change. That's hoping, one, that you are the 2 seats that make the change. And if you made a deal with the UNC to do this, how are you so sure that the members of parliament are going to remain loyal to Tobago and not become loyal to the UNC? Why would they? When the UNC would be the party in power that can give them all of the connections that they want. And also, I think some people should bear in mind that there are some elements within the UNC that would love nothing more than to get rid of Tobago wholly. And I'm not sure that would be of benefit to Tobago. When is the next THA elections? I'm actually not sure. I'm actually quite unsure about that.
It's every 4 years, no? It's not every 4 years?
I think so. So when was the last one?
2025.
Last one was 21. After being victorious, the bigger party will consume the smaller party. It's kind of how it usually goes. You have to understand there are many other things involved. So, okay, who are the employees that will be in your office? Who will be your advisors? Do you get your advisors from the TPP, or does the UNC supply you with UNC loyalists to furnish your office with workers? Who are the people that are going to be around you?
I think TPP should run and they should keep the seats in opposition. Just keep the seats and stay to the center.
Yeah, but that's if they win. I just don't think they're going to win.
But I don't think they will win, but I think it will say a lot about them. Like, they're not power hungry. I think a lot of younger parties, they run into coalition because they want the power. You know? Mm-hmm. So I think they should show, we don't need the power. We just want to have a say for Tobago.
Yeah.
Say in opposition.
And I think that would look better on them. Like I regularly said about that about the COP, as King David brought them up there. The COP lost almost all of their cred inside of the partnership because they were supposed to be the moral compass of the partnership. Many people didn't trust the UNC because the UNC was seen as being a party close to corruption. But they thought that the balance of the COP, which had a lot of the educated professional class in the country, they thought that these people would go in there and they would balance that partnership, and then they went in and they seemed just about consumed. Some members of the COP made a few murmurs here and there, but the leadership of the COP said we're sticking it out and staying here, and killed the entire party. And I think that worked out well for the UNC because the COP was actually becoming a challenge for them slowly over time. So they were able to knock out the COP and assimilate everyone right back into the UNC all at the same time. Worked out well for them. One of the few parties that jumped out, and to me, they could at least say that to their credit, was the MSJ, the Movement for Social Justice. The irony is, the party jumped out, but their leader stayed in. Irony upon ironies. The party jumped out of the partnership because things were going too south, but the leader who carried the party into the partnership, he stayed right there and kept all that he had coming. We have to keep our memories intact. Alright, people, are there any further questions or comments, or do we dive out? CUP would have been a strong option, yeah. By now, if the CUP remained independent, they may have been an actual viable party, possibly winning elections. They got, was it a couple 100,000 votes? They got a lot of votes.
And they got seats. Well, seats. No, they got more than one seat though.
With the partnership, but when they went alone, they didn't get any seats, but they got a lot of votes.
How much seats they got with the partnership? Like about 3 or so.
I think 3. Triniflix says, say what you want, Tobago has the smarter voters in the country.
You see, this is the dishonesty. I just can't take with Tobago. Tobago saying that because Tobago views Trinidad politics as ethnic, right? So everybody black is PNM because they're black, and everybody who are Indian is UNC because they're Indian. But because Tobago don't have a strong Indo population, they seem like, oh well, we smart because we can vote anybody. But if UNC runs in Tobago, they won't vote for them, and they know that. So it's a dishonest kind of conversation to have. You know that's the case. You're not going to vote for UNC, which is why UNC don't run in Tobago, because they know they're going to lose their deposit. They're not wasting the time. But anybody, and then so it's PNM and anybody else. That's how Tobago does vote. So are they really that smart?
I get what you're saying, Ronnie. I get what you're saying 100%, and I agree. I agree. So I don't know if I'd make that assumption on smarter voters. It's a different system. It's a whole different system that they vote with, which provides different results. If that I regularly say that in Trinidad and Tobago, I think if the UNC in particular didn't have as large of a safe base as they did, Trinidad politics would have been a whole different ball game, but they do. So there's nothing that could change with that right now. I think many voters in Trinidad, many of the PNM loyalists in Trinidad would be willing to vote the same thing like Tobago, either PNM or anybody else. They would be willing to do that, just not the UNC. So I don't think that's saying much. The PNM has lost just about every seat in Trinidad at one point in time before to one party or the other. It's just that the UNC may not be able to make that victory. Now, the thing is, the COP was developing that possibility within the UNC core, where, okay, the PNM at different points within the PNM base of voters, it has been seen that a different party is able to pull them away. The COP was creating that option within the UNC base, where there would be an alternative where the UNC base itself could be split or move up or move. We know already that it could happen to the PNM. A party could be formed on the east-west corridor that does pull votes. We know that. We have established that to be true. We need it to happen for the UNC base too. Tobago vote PAP, the party last 6 months. I mean PDP. And the party last 6 months. But it's the people, eh? The people they voted for are still in power. So, there is that. So, any more comments or questions? Any more comments or questions we're looking to dive out there?
Yeah, be mindful, not mindless. Yes.
Correct. As Trini Hotep always says, be mindful, not mindless. You have anything to say there, Ronnie, before we dive out?
Yeah, everybody enjoy the weekend. If anybody in Tobago would like to come to a show, thank me. I have 2 shows this weekend.
Shows?
That's it.
What kind of shows you doing?
One of them is somebody say something. That one Sunday, show back look for that one, and the next one is a Queen show. Saturday, Signal Dance. So I didn't look out for the 2 of them. But you can come to one, both of them.
What is
Nice.
like a pageant?
Yeah.
Oh. Cool. Word up, Triniflix. We'll wait on that explanation at that other time. So, alright, people, until next time, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next Mindful Live, starting around that 9:30 p.m. time. Until then, hold it down. Stay well, stay safe. Probably stay inside, outside sketchy. Peace out.
Yeah, outside. Nice.
You see, Ronnie, I'm telling you all that every night outside they're sketchy. Especially in Bago. Bago no longer safe. Bye, folks.